Hello fellow readers and readresses. It is that time of the year where we evaluate how we've done during the past 12 months and figure out how we'll do better in the coming ones. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never been big on New Year's resolutions because I know myself well enough to know that my newly acquired motivation usually lasts, as we say here, a day till noon. And it's easy to dream big and plan big, but the execution is never as shiny as the goal itself, which we will be discussing a little bit later today. With that being said, I find moving through life with no clear goal extremely unsettling. I need to know exactly where I'm going and how I'm getting there before I decide to stray off the path and wander somewhere random. Which is why I always set up goals for myself no matter what I'm doing, and my 2024 reading is gonna be no different. Before we do that though, let's quickly look at my 2023 goals and laugh at my failures. I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day and she was like, "Ooh, you should watch your last year's video and laugh at your outfit and makeup." And in my head I'm like, I haven't changed the way I dress or do makeup in like 15 years. I'm literally wearing pants that are 10 years old. But I made sure that I'm not wearing the same shirt as last year, so that is something. By the way, I love this shirt. I love the sleeves. I bought it somewhat recently, like 2 years ago, and have not worn it once. Because it turns out I don't have a single place to go where it would be appropriate to wear a sheer blouse. So I'm wearing it today. Now let's look at my goals for 2023. And by the way, I know there's a lot of glare from the glasses and I know it's uncomfortable, but I have to stare at a screen and I don't see very well, so I hope you'll forgive me this inconvenience. My first goal of 2023 is to read 60 books. Alright, first of all, I love that lipstick and I wonder where it has gone because I know I haven't finished it yet. I don't think I've finished a lipstick in my life, but I haven't seen it in my makeup recently and I would like to wear it again. And regarding the goal, I am happy to report that I was already able to achieve it. Matter of fact, I achieved it several months ago and changed already the goal to 100 books and I'm almost already there. I think I have 4 or 5 more books to read in order to complete it. So that is one win for me. Goal number 2 for 2023 is that I would like 90% of my read books to be from my owned TBR. Alright, I am also very happy to report that I was able to achieve that goal as well. As you can see on your screens, out of the over 100 books that I have picked up this year, not read this year, I want to clarify that, I have owned 95 and 7 were borrowed. So out of all the books that I have picked up this year, 93.1% were owned TBR. This is very, very good because I think in 2022, the majority of the books that I read were borrowed, which there's nothing bad in reading borrowed books, mind you. I fully support that. It's just that I already had a huge owned TBR and I really needed to get through it. I don't know why I'm speaking in past tense because I still have a huge owned TBR. Moving on. My goal number 3 for 2023 is to end the year with no more than 20 started series. That means that okay. This goal was a complete and utter failure. And not only because I wasn't able to reduce the number of series that I'm actively reading to 20, but because when you compare to last year where I had only 50, now I currently have 70 series in progress. Let that sink in. It is absolutely insane. It is completely unsustainable. And this is basically what happens when you have a semi-random TBR that is decided by a TBR game, no self-control, and a desire to complete everything you started. So basically not DNFing things. And not only is this annoying and disappointing because I have failed to achieve an arbitrary goal that I have set for myself, that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is that I take too long between books of a series, I tend to forget things between those, and I end up not enjoying a series as much as I naturally would had I read the books one after another or taken less time between books of a series. So this is something that I'm gonna look into for my goals for 2024. But now let's continue reviewing my goals for 2023. My goal number 4 for 2023 is to start adding a monthly TBR to my monthly wrap-ups. Now, not only was I able to achieve this goal, but I actually outdid myself because I created my own TBR game, which is called The Lord of the Reads, and its first installment ran in March 2023. I have been loving this TBR game, and yes, I am still a mood reader, and it's sometimes frustrating when I have to read books from a predetermined list, but it's also so much fun, and it has allowed me to read some books that I never would have picked otherwise out of my comfort zone, and that has been great too. And I can technically still control what I read when during the month, so it's all good. Another success for me, which is to join some reading challenges and readathons in 2023. I'm a big lurker when it comes to online spaces. I like to watch and enjoy from a distance, but still a big lurker, still I like to watch and enjoy from a distance. However, I was able to partially overcome that and participate in 2 readathons, the first of which was Aurelium, created by G from Book Roast, and its adventure in Eldia quest kind of that went for the entirety of 2023, and the other one was the Buzzword Reading Challenge created by Kayla from Books and Lala. I have absolutely loved participating in both of those two, and if they continue doing them next year as well, I will participate as well. I will highly recommend those to you. I will link them in the video description. But on top of those two, I actually joined another readathon, which is a dragon themed readathon created by Ash from Books to Ashes. I will also link it in the video description. This one is also very chill. It has a Discord that I'm actually a part of, and I'm mostly lurking there as well, but I'm having a good time. People are hilarious. They have so many great ideas, and it's just a good time. So yeah, great success on that point as well. I'm actually doing way better than initially anticipated.
Goal number 6, I believe, for 2023 is to reread 2 series, 2 of my favorite series ever. The first one being A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin.
Okay, I can already tell you that this goal is going to be only partially achieved because A Song of Ice and Fire I was not able to reread. I reread 2 of the books and I'm currently rereading the 3rd one, but we still have A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons, and I haven't been able to reread those, obviously.
And the second series I want to reread in 2023 is The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson.
Okay, this one I was able to achieve. I reread the first 3 books, which I had already read previously, and I was even able to read The Rhythm of War. It was so much fun, I really enjoyed it, and it nicely set the stage for the coming out of the last book from the first arc of the Stormlight Archive, which is going to happen in 2024, and I can't wait.
And the last goal I have for 2023 as of right now is to start reading Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson.
All right. Complete and utter failure. I was thinking I could at least read The Gardens of the Moon, and I did not read it. I put it on my 2023 TBR, but it never came out, never even crossed my mind to select it for anything else, so total fail. Now, those were all the goals that I had in that video, but I also had a 2023 TBR list, which I'm gonna add as goal number 8, and that one I unfortunately failed. Initially, I had 35 books on my TBR. We had my 23 books to read in 2023 and 12 books recommended by 12 friends to read in 12 months. Out of those 35, I have only read 22, and I'm in the process of reading book number 23. So technically I didn't do terribly, but obviously I was not able to achieve this goal, and I'm not even close to that. And why I believe I failed this goal is because I was a little bit too ambitious, and I'm gonna address that in a little bit. So to summarize, out of these 8 goals, I have fully achieved 4, partially achieved 1, and failed 3. Not great, but net positive, and I sure did better than I would have otherwise, probably. But let's evaluate the goals that I just discussed and see why I managed to achieve some and managed to fail spectacularly others, and what are the differences between the successful ones and the unsuccessful ones. Now, when it comes to goal number 1, for example, read 60 books, that was a reasonable goal. It was ambitious, but it was realistic, and it was based on previous data. I already knew that I could sustainably read 5 books a month with no issue, and I knew I could probably do better. So that was a goal that I easily achieved because I set myself for success. Same with goal number 2. It was easy to do because reading the books that are already here is the path of least resistance, and I don't have to get out of my house or go online and purchase an ebook in order to get to them. I also organized my TBR game to favor the books that I already own, again setting myself for success. In contrast, taking goal number 3 to reach only 20 series in progress, I took absolutely no steps to achieve this goal. Number 1, my TBR game is super random when it comes to selecting books, and whenever the situation called for me picking a book, I never prioritized the books that were part of the series I was already reading, and I never even DNF'd pretty much any series. And given that I had over 300, nearly 400 books on my shelves, the majority of which are part of different series, it created the perfect situation for a dumpster fire, which it ended up being. And when it comes to goals 6, 7, and 8, I did not achieve those because I was super ambitious and completely overextended myself. I mean, combining those 3 goals, I had 43 books on my TBR, which is over 70% of my targeted annual count. Combine that with the randomizing factor of a TBR game deciding your TBR, and you set yourself for failure. And I know that sounds like a lot of managerial talk, and I'm sorry, I can't help what I am. And if we look deeper into goal 8, we see that I made it worse by adding a bunch of books which are so far out of my comfort zone, I would probably never reach for them if I wasn't forced. And don't get me wrong, they might be great books, and most of them probably are, given that they were recommended to me by people I know and love and respect. But when it would come to choice which books to read, I would always skip over those because they're not what I usually like to read. And this opens a little bit of a bigger topic related to the books that I have forced myself to read recently. Now, 2-3 years ago, when I moved into this apartment, I started buying a ton of books. And that is because I had taken a hiatus from reading for several years. Actually, for more than several years. I think it had been 10 years when I would read only 1 or 2 books a year, and those usually would be rereads. And so when I discovered booktube and started getting excited about reading again, I had forgotten what I like, and maybe my tastes have changed. So basically, I had no idea what I wanted or would like to read. And so I would frantically buy every book that a YouTuber had mentioned, and I just had this FOMO, so I kept on stockpiling books that I pretty much had no intention to ever pick up. And so with time and discovering what I actually like now, I had solidified in my head which books I would reach for and which books I wouldn't. But I had already ended up with this gigantic pile of books I will never touch. And then a few days ago, I got a comment from the lovely Justina Justy, which prompted me to reflect on my priorities around books. What she said was, I think you should allow yourself some kindness and count DNFs as prompts completed, as there is no point in torturing yourself with a book you do not enjoy. And I think that's one of the profound issues with my current reading, is that I focus so much on achieving my goals to the T, making sure that I don't break the rules, that I inadvertently ruin my reading experience. Why would I punish myself for acknowledging that some books aren't for me and then cutting my losses and moving on to something that I would actually enjoy? Who's holding me accountable for this nonsense? Me. So now, knowing all this, let's talk about what I'm aiming for in 2024 and how I'm planning to achieve it. Goal number 1 is going to be the same as last year's goal, and that would be to read 60 books in 2024. Why I keep this one is because I'm not trying to competitive read. I know that I will probably read 60 books anyway, so I'm going to keep this goal. And again, just like last year, if I manage to reach it earlier, I will likely increase it later on. Now, I don't have to put this as a goal here in order to achieve it, but it's an easy goal, and I would like to create a bit of a momentum. Goal number 2 will be to have 60% of my read books for 2024 to be from my owned TBR. And yes, I have lowered the number from 2023, but that is because in 2024, I would like to focus on books that I actually enjoy reading, what I mentioned a little bit earlier. In addition to that, I would like to read books from certain series closer together, but I don't own all of these as of right now, and it would be easier to just borrow the book from a library or get it as an ebook online instead of having it as a physical one here. And I prioritize that over reading my own TBR because I would like to enjoy reading, and this will ensure that I enjoy reading more. Goal number 3 is to buy only books I actually care for. What do I mean by that? Well, this is going to be a little bit related to my previous goal, but I used to have this habit of either buying ebooks or borrowing them, or borrowing physical books, reading them, and then if I liked them, I would go ahead and purchase a physical copy as well. This way, I would ensure that I'm surrounded only by books I actually enjoy. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm only going to buy books I've already read, but if I buy books that I haven't read, I'm only going to buy those that I am almost 100% sure that I'm going to like, or that really spark my interest, instead of FOMOing and buying books that I have heard from a YouTuber are going to be great and not wanting to be left behind. In addition to that, I have canceled all of my book subscription boxes because I have realized that letting other people choose the books that are going to be on my bookshelves really does not make sense. Not to mention that I have solid data that shows me that the people who select books for these monthly book boxes have a completely different taste and priorities than myself. Which leads me to goal number 4, and that is to unhaul books. I have never unhauled a book in my life, but I really need to start getting rid of things I don't care for, and books are a part of that. And it's gonna be difficult because I always think to myself, what if? And isn't it shameful to just buy something and then get rid of it without even giving it a chance? And yes, it is shameful. I feel foolish for shoveling these books into my house only to shovel them out without ever opening them. But it is a mistake I made, and I've learned from it. It's why I'm changing things around. around here. Goal number 5 is to read books from series closer to each other, which I already mentioned earlier, and as I mentioned, I'm doing it because I'm ruining my enjoyment of reading series by taking so long between books from the same series. And goal number 6 is, drumroll, have 20 series in progress by the end of 2024. Yes, I know it's the same thing, and yes, I know it's going to be more difficult than last year, and I will probably fail, but I have a strategy that's supposed to help me make a little bit of a progress here. First step of that strategy is to go through the list of all the series I currently have in progress and start DNFing. No compromises, no maybe, no buts, no ifs. If I don't feel excited about the series, I DNF it. Step number 2 is to modify my series jar from my TBR game to only contain the series that I care for. And step number 3 is, whenever I have a choice to select a certain book, say a fantasy book or a book with a tree on the cover, for example, one of those ambiguous or somewhat ambiguous prompts that allow me to have a certain freedom of choice, I will prioritize books from series that I have already started reading. That is a decision I'm making right now, and I hope I'll be able to stick to it. And those are all my goals for 2024. I think I kept them concise enough and measurable enough to be able to look back and evaluate whether I did well or not. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please let me know what your goals for 2024 are. I'm super curious to know. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to see my most anticipated releases for 2024, check out this video. Bye!